Hey friends, how's everyone doing today? I want to go ahead and thank you for being here. This is something new that I just kind of wanted to try out and see how it works. There was a lot of stuff that I picked up. I mean, I pick up a lot of stuff, but there was a lot of stuff this month that I ended up picking up. And normally I go live with my friend Dan, and we go live sometimes Wednesdays, sometimes it's Saturdays whenever we go live. It depends. I did put the link here in the chat. We go live every Saturday. Sometimes it's Saturday, sometimes it's Wednesday, but we do it weekly. We kind of do like our favorite picks of the week. And then, if we watched a movie, read a book, did something else, we go ahead and talk about it. So I don't really have any platform that I say like, okay, well, here is like 1 month of books that I picked up. And honestly, that'd be kind of overwhelming. So what I want to go ahead and try is to do this, which is kind of new for me, is go live and talk about some of my favorite first issues that came out this week or this month. So all of these titles are things that came out this month, number ones in a series, even if it's not necessarily a new series or if it's like a number one in a new arc, whatever it might be. I do have a lot of number ones to talk about for the month. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Hope you like it. If you do enjoy it, I'm going to have you do the thing where you like and subscribe. I assume those are like down here. Please like, please subscribe, please comment. And hopefully if this is fun enough and if it's popular enough, I might do more and kind of do one of these monthly roundups every month. So first, choose first. Here we go. So I want to go ahead and say thank you to the chat for being here. 69 Chop Shop, thank you. My hair could look a little bit better. I need to shave it up actually, but we'll see when that actually gets done. So thank you. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the issues that I got this month. The first one on my list is going to be American Vampire 1976, Scott Snyder, Raphael Albuquerque. This is a new series for the originally Vertigo series that they did, American Vampire. And now that Vertigo is no more, rest in peace, right? So now that Vertigo is no more, it's now on the Black Label. So all of these are just going to have DC Black Label on them as opposed to saying Vertigo. Or I do want to go ahead and shout out a special guest on the show, and that's my cat Malcolm. He normally doesn't pop up, but I guess me talking was a little bit too much for him. He's my little old man, so be nice to him. Okay, so American Vampire 1976. I briefly read the first series, the original American Vampire, never really kept up with it. I'm not going to say that the artwork is great. I absolutely love this. I think it's very dynamic, very kinetic. However, maybe it's just because I never followed through with the original series. This one didn't quite land for me. I know a lot of people liked it, so I'm still going to maybe call it a recommendation, but it wasn't my favorite. I've got a lot more to go over. This one wasn't my favorite, but let's go to some of the next ones. Also, kind of on the bottom of my list this month for DC is going to be another DC Black Label book, and that's going to be Rorschach. Watchmen is one of my absolute favorite series, and there haven't been many things, let alone many adaptations, that really are going to do it for me, and this one wasn't it. I didn't really learn anything new. This one was written by Tom King, artwork done by Jorge Fornes. Didn't really care for it, and I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry because I don't feel like we got anything new. I don't feel like we got anything interesting. I think that DC just loves making money off of Alan Moore's properties. And like I said, I'm a really big fan of the original Watchmen. And I know Alan Moore, not that maybe he's watching. Alan Moore, if you're watching, I really respect you. I'm kind of sorry for buying this stuff and giving more money to DC and not you. But I think at this point, Watchmen, at least some of these are like a dead horse. I'll amend that for the new HBO Watchmen series, which was absolutely phenomenal. So go watch that. I didn't really care for this. Maybe we'll see with the next number 2 issue, but I might not be picking it up. Another of my number 1 issues that we got this month was Scumbag. And normally, I really love anything done by Image Comics. I'll buy almost every single Image Comics book that there is, especially if a #1 comes out. I'm almost always going to buy it. And I knew I wasn't really going to love this book. I'm not a really big fan of Rick Remender. I love Deadly Class. Most of the other stuff doesn't really resonate with me. I'm kind of on and off. If you've watched some of my other videos, you know why. If you want to dig more deep into why I'm not a big fan of Rick Remender, you can watch my video that was 100. I read 100 comic books in July, and maybe it was because that was a lot, but I didn't really love the reread of Low in Black Science, even though those are really beloved books. Anyways, enough about that. I'll talk about Scumbag. Didn't enjoy this book at all. I get the shock value, and he's, you know, the character is the most scummy guy that you've ever seen, but he's the only person who can save the world. This first issue really just went into why he's a scumbag, and it just, you know, if shock value is your thing, you get to see a man just shitting himself on the street. Not really sure why. I can see that there would be some people who would really enjoy this. The artwork didn't do it for me, and the story didn't really do it for me either. So this was a #1 issue. I'm definitely not going to get the next issue of. So maybe someone will like it. I know people out there really like this book. I can see that there would be an audience for it, but I'm not that audience. So Rick Remender, you proved me right that I'm not in love with your writing, except for Deadly Class. I do like Deadly Class. So you know, Scumbag. Okay, so the next kind of section of the pile that I have here is the stuff that I really enjoyed. First one, this was a new title published by Mad Cave Studios, which is just now coming onto my radar. They did Stargazer, Dryfoot. They also did this one, Villainous #1, which is kind of a cute take on the superhero dynamics. This character right here, Tilly, she wants to be a superhero, and come to find out the person that she is working for isn't a superhero. She's kind of trying to intern, and the superhero, you know, never meet your superheroes is, I guess, like the tagline that it would be given. I thought it was really cute. I can really relate to Tilly because, you know, everyone's had that shitty job before that you just didn't love. And that's kind of what she has. So, like I said, Mad Cave Studios, they've been publishing some really fun stuff. Highly recommend Dryfoot. That was a fun read. There is also a book that I got an advanced copy of that I really enjoy, and I want to highlight it, you know, a little bit later, more in detail, but it's called Terminal Punks, and I really like it. Think like punk rock lumberjanes, so check that out when it comes out by Mad Cave Studios. But Villainous, I'll go ahead and pull open, Stoney Williams is the writer, Jeff Sajinski, and apologize if I butcher that, writer and artist on Villainous. So this one I'll be picking the #2 issue up of. Alrighty. This one was really fun. I'm a really big fan of Tank Girl, and King Tank Girl came out. I feel like this one could have easily been a just like a one-shot, because we do get a lot of different stories in it. The main one that we get is that Tank Girl and crew, including Booga, they go to find one of his childhood toys that he had at one point, and they end up finding the Holy Grail, and Tank Girl becomes the king of England. So this was kind of fun. It also had a lot of other stories in it. So this was a really interesting take. I hope they go, and there's lots of, when I say other stories, there were just like other little like beach tales and things like that, kind of Archie looking. So that was really fun. I could see it being a one-shot, but I do want more of just King Tank Girl. So this one, it's published by Albatross. Normally, Tank Girl is published by Titan Comics, is most of the stuff that they've been published by. This one is done by Albatross. I don't know if they bought Titan or whatever happened there, but Albatross is going to be publishing that. Alrighty, this one was a really fun one, published by Oni Press. I kept wanting to think that this one was published by Vault, but it's actually Oni. It is The Vein. The artwork is done by Emily Pearson, who I'm a really big fan of. I love their artwork. It's written by Elliot Rahal. This one gave me like lesbian vampire Bonnie and Clyde vibes. That's kind of a mouthful. Lesbian vampire Bonnie and Clyde vibes. That would be the vein right here. Published by Oni Press. So this one was really fun. I do want to see where it goes because we do obviously get to see them a little bit in history as well as in the kind of present. So I want to see where this ends up going. So The Vein by Oni Press, Rahal Pearson. Check it out. Okay. This one was another one of those highlights. This was actually almost to the top of my list. I know I have a lot here, but this one was almost on the top of my list for things that I got this month. And that would be Devil's Red Bride. Oh my goodness. So this one's published by Vault Comics. They have just been doing so many good things. Several of their titles have landed on my favorite books for 2019 and 2020. So this one won't finish up before the year is over, but this one would easily have been one of my top 2020 overall books if it had finished. Probably going to be one of my top 2020 single issues. So number one, I think that this one is going to be a really almost sneak under the radar type story. I think that there's going to be a lot of people who get into this on issue 2 or 3 and didn't realize how good it was, and they're going to be wanting this issue 1. So if your local comic book store has copies of this, pick it up because I think it's going to be a really great hit. So Devil's Red Bride by Vault Comics. It is, let me go ahead and tell you who it's written by, who it's drawn by, because that's typically important. I don't know if most people, if they go to the writer or the artist more, but the writer is Sebastian Gerner, artist is John Bivens. I can't think off the top of my head what else they've done. I think I recall something else by John Bivens, but it's not ringing a bell just yet. But Devil's Red Bride, number 1, came out by Vault Comics. It's really, really good. Thank you so much for all of the comments. It looks like we need more American Vampire. Tank Girl rules. Yes, she does. And I want to say hi to Puff as well. And hello, HAQ. Going good. Went through some of the number 1 issues that I got this month so far. About halfway through my stack. So most of this section of the pack is going to be things that were like 8, 8.5, 9 out of 10. Lots of really good books. So another one that I really enjoyed, and I really just love this cover by Peach Momoko, and it's Commanders in Crisis. Imagine, I got Die Hard vibes out of it, like all of these presidents from different worlds have to come in and save the world. It was really fun. It's a really unique take. I really enjoy Steve Orlando's writing. I really appreciated his Midnighter run at DC. The number 2 issue I think is coming out next week or the following week, and we'll actually be interviewing Steve Orlando this upcoming Tuesday. So if you need a break from watching the election results come in, you should come and watch us over at Comic Chop News, interview Steve Orlando and talk to him about Commanders in Crisis, what it's like to be writing and creating in a weird recession pandemic, and where maybe the future of comics are going. But I'm really excited to talk to him about Commanders in Crisis because it was a really fun book. Published by Image Comics, of course, because I'm almost always going to pick up an Image comic number 1, but this was a really great one anyways. Okay, another one that I think was just an absolute sleeper hit, also published by Image Comics, is going to be Getting It Together. I can't recall if this is, okay, yeah, so this is the B cover. I don't have the A cover in front of me, but this one is, I don't want to call it like a millennial or Gen Z version of Sex and the City, but it's kind of what it is. Weird breakup stuff happens, and these are all incredibly flawed characters. It really spoke to me in a really weird way. There was lots of humor. All of the characters are flawed, but somehow you're still kind of rooting for them. So that's an interesting take on this, but really just about what it's like to date someone in modern times, I guess. I don't know what that looks like. But Getting It Together was a really fun read. Someone described it as like a comic book about nothing. Even though I do kind of agree with that sentiment, there's a lot more going on. There's a plan behind it, but I literally feel like this Cinna Grace just went into like a coffee shop and turned on a tape recorder and just recorded casual everyday conversations and then put it into this because this feels like a conversation I could be having with a friend. So Getting It Together, number 1, written by Cinna Grace. Omar Spall looks like is the artist, and we've got okay, so Jenny Define and Cinna Grace are going to be the artists on it. So there you go. Alrighty. You know, I don't know if these ones, I'll just go ahead and do these separate. I almost did them together, but we don't need to do that. Okay, so this one was published by Aftershock, another one that I feel like didn't get enough love, and I'm guilty of it too because I picked it up a week late, so I can't even remember if this was an actual October pickup or not. Maybe it was a little bit before, but We Live, number 1, published by Aftershock Comics. I feel like, I don't know if reading a book about a like post-apocalyptic story is what we need to be reading right now. I don't know how healthy that is, but there is a little bit of optimism in it. There's, you know, an apocalypse that happens, and after a certain amount of time, certain kids are selected, only like 5,000 kids, something like that, can go on this space bus to wherever they need to go to make sure that the human race survives. So people are trying to get them there. And this one was really good, not just the writing and how much I really enjoyed the characters and the emotion that I felt from it. And there's like a little, almost like Fallout. If you've played that video game, it feels like a little Fallout guide to the apocalypse in it. But there's actually, on the pages here, let me see, on the pages here, there's actually cute little QR codes. When you scan them, it brings you to a YouTube channel where you can listen to, I presume, a soundtrack to it. I didn't follow along with all of them because I was so engrossed in the story. However, the artwork is just absolutely beautiful. Just lots of gorgeous detail that doesn't get too much in the way, like it doesn't feel crowded like a lot of them do. This one really set up the world that we're living in, so a really fantastic number 1 issue here. And that's We Live, published by Aftershock Comics. The Miranda brothers are going to be the creators on here. You can see that. The Miranda brothers. So check that out, and then check out the music that's in it too. Another one that I feel like was a sleeper hit, and I actually got both 2 covers, and that was Giga. This one gave me, I'll go ahead and put it up here a little bit more. Okay, so Giga was really fun. It gave me, if anyone has read The Inkle by Jodorowsky and Mobius, this one definitely gave me those vibes from the just beautiful neutral colors to some of the like science fiction with like sprinkles of fantasy on top. So this one was really fun. Check it out. It's published by Vault Comics. They are doing such incredible things. They're doing really great work for in genres. So I feel like if there's a lot of times lately, people have been like, "Hey, give me a recommendation for a horror book." Okay, these 3 are from Vault. Give me a science fiction recommendation. Okay, here's a couple from Vault. Normally Image would be doing that, but Vault has been on my radar a lot, and I think Giga is going to be a really fun book. I think a lot of people are going to end up waiting for the trade on this, and man, the single issues are great. I really think that we're going to want to pick this one up month by month. So Giga by Vault, published by Vault Comics. Okay, so if anyone watches me on Comic Chop News, you know that we are really big fans of the fantasy or science fiction novel Dune. We actually have pretty much everyone there has like some Dune tattoos, and Dune House of Tradies actually came out this month. I'm really glad that it did because the movie has been pushed back. So if you like Dune, not only should you pick this up, but you should also watch us in Comic Chop News. You can find the link below in there somewhere, because we actually are reading Dune chapter by chapter, week by week. We're going along slow and steady. We thought that we were going to have a movie to kind of like end up at, but the movie got pushed back, and so now we just have the comics and the book to keep us company. So Dune House of Tradies goes a little bit far back than the original Dune novel. This one is going to be like one generation before. So we get to see a little bit more of House Atreides. We get to see a little bit more House Harkonnen and the politics to lead up to Dune. This #1 issue was really, really good. I got almost every single variant cover that I could get my hand on, including the 1 in 100 Paul Pope variant, which I really loved. I don't have it here. I'm not going to show that one off just now. But shout out to my local comic book shop, Books with Pictures, for getting those for me. So Dune, and this one's published by Boom Studios, so Dune by Boom. That was actually a lot harder to say than I thought it was going to be. Dune by Boom. Boom does Dune. You do need to pick up Dune. I highly, highly recommend it. I do know that my shop, Books with Pictures, has plenty of copies in stock. So if you go to Comic Shop Locator, look for Books with Pictures, they sell their stuff on their website. So Dune was really, really good. If you like this, or if you haven't picked it up but you want to know more about Dune, you should come and hang out with us at Comic Shop News every Monday, which is tomorrow. We're going to be talking about Dune, the actual novel. We go chapter by chapter to try to make it easy for us. Because the movie got pushed back, we're actually thinking that not only are we going to read this big boy, but we're also going to get to read Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, and we'll see if we make it to God Emperor, which is the 4th novel in the series. But we'll also be reading about this and talking about this each month that it comes out. Dune, House Atreides, pick it up. Alrighty. Last but not least, this one has to be my absolute favorite of the month, and this one is actually kind of like a continuation of a series, but it's the new #1, Colonel Weird Cosmagog, which is in the Black Hammer universe by Jeff Lemire. Jeff Lemire is one of my absolute favorite writers. Descender is one of my favorites. Black Hammer is one of my favorites. And this one goes into a little bit of the backstory, maybe future story of Colonel Weird. And just like the title suggests, it gets really weird. It's heartbreaking, but delightful at the same time. Like, I'm going to be miserable, but I'm going to be happy about it. I don't know. But this was really good. The artwork is done by Tyler Crook, who did, I have it somewhere in the stack, so I'm not going to pull it out, but Harrow County, he did the artwork for it as well, and I think that his artwork just complements Jeff Lemire's writing so well, and actually reminds me a little bit of Jeff Lemire's artwork. So Colonel Weird Cosmagog, if you are into superheroes, I highly recommend picking up Black Hammer and reading it, because I know for me, reading a lot of comic books, I've gotten superhero fatigue, where I feel like I've read every single superhero movie, or I've read every single superhero book. I know all the characters, but all of the characters in Black Hammer are based off of those superhero mythos. Like, we've got a fake Captain America, fake, maybe, I don't know if she's like Black Orchid or what she's supposed to be, but she's in love with like a Swamp Thing character, which I love. So Colonel Weird is kind of supposed to be like Adam Strange, but not really. So we get to go into this like weird universe with them, and I absolutely love it. So I highly recommend picking up Colonel Weird, because it's in the Black Hammer universe, but I don't feel like you actually need to read all of the spin-offs and the whole series to get it. Just pick it up. It's really good, but you should be reading Black Hammer anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and answer a couple questions in here, and let's go ahead and see. You did see it at Excalibur yesterday. Wonderful. Okay, cool. Since I mentioned Jodorowsky, I'm assuming you. Yes, I have watched Jodorowsky's Dune, the greatest movie that was never made. I feel like I talk about it all the time when I talk about Engel. I swear we bring it up every single week when we do our Dune rereads, especially with the new movie coming out. I feel like I have been referencing Jodorowsky's Dune more than usual. I talk about Dune a lot, so spoiler alert, I talk about Dune a lot. The good thing is we got the Meta Barons and the Inkle 100%. And to be completely honest, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm going to give you a very quick, maybe like 1 minute rundown on Dune. So if you can hang in here 1 minute. Dune came out in the early 60s. Basically did for science fiction what Lord of the Rings did for fantasy, right? This book was supposed to be made into a movie in the late 60s, early 70s, before Star Wars even came about. This director who had done some wacky films, Alejandra Jodarowski, he was going to make this at the suggestion of a friend. He got so many people who he wanted to be his spiritual warriors, basically his dream team to make this movie. He wanted it to be 14 hours long. He wanted Dolly to be in the movie. He wanted Pink Floyd to do part of the soundtrack. He got our guy H.R. Giger to do some of the artwork. He got Mobus, who was just known as John Gerard at the time, before he was really Mobus, to do a like screenshot like rundown of what the movie was going to look like. And he wanted, Alejandro Jodorowsky wanted Dune to be like you are watching a movie on acid. That's what he wanted his vision for Dune to be. He took several years, spent his life savings, traveled all over the world to get his spiritual warriors to be able to do this movie, went to the producers and said, here is my vision for Dune. I've pretty much got it like halfway started. Let's just do it. And the producers basically went, nope, sorry, sounds a little bit too wacky for us. Not going to happen. Many years later, I don't know how many, what kind of coping mechanisms that he used, but Alejandro Jodorowsky, after a while, ended up coming out with this book called The Inkle. I have it right here. So he came out with The Inkle. He also came out with Metabarons, lots of really fun, crazy, wacky stuff. But you can basically see influences of what the original Dune movie was going to be. You can see it in every single science fiction movie you've ever dreamed of. Fifth Element, it's got elements of it. Star Wars, it's there. Star Trek obviously predated this, so that doesn't count. But seriously, every single thing that Flash Gordon, oh my goodness, all of these movies have some type of influence by Jodorowsky in it. So that's why they call it the greatest movie never made. So I think about it a lot. Thank you all for hanging out here with me while I talked about Dune and Jodorowsky's Dune and all of that. Come in if you like that, if you want more. Come and listen to us every Monday on Comic Chop News. Link is down here somewhere in the description. So thank you for hanging out there. I really appreciate it to talk about that. So Tina, you asked a question. You're saying, what would I recommend after watching or after reading the original Black Hammer? I honestly would say, I know this is kind of like a weird stretch, but Jonathan Hickman's East of West, even though it doesn't necessarily have to do with superheroes, but it's this beautiful universe. You may even have already read East of West, but it's one of my favorites. It's done by Jonathan Hickman, who I love. East of West is one of my favorite series. I would highly recommend reading East of West. I would also recommend reading Descender, even though it's obviously not superheroes. I think that you can see his writing style in it, and you can really see Jeff Lemire's care for characters in it. So I'd highly recommend East of West, as well as Descender. There's probably a couple others that I could recommend, but I'm just not off the top of my head. I'm thinking of more, but that's an awesome question. HAQ, I regret you selling the original series. Sorry. Yeah, Metabarons is a Greek tragedy in space. Yep, 100%. So I want to go ahead and appreciate every single person who's here right now, any person who decided to watch the replay. I really appreciate it. Like I said, this is the first in a series that I think that I want to do. So if maybe in December you want to see me talk about November's pickups, I would love to do that. So if you like it, if you aren't already subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Also share the video, comment, and like in whatever order that you would like to. But if you did like it and you want to see more, 1, you can see me every Saturday on Comic Chop News, or 2, subscribe to the channel and I may go ahead and do more. I hope all of you have a wonderful day, and let me know what comics you picked up